Today's video, we're going to talk about spotlight ads on LinkedIn and how they are more profitable than any other ad type on LinkedIn for certain products and services that you're selling. And I'll talk about what those are, but the reason why they're so profitable is because they're overlooked. Not many people know about these or think they would even work. So I'm going to explain specifically how you get phenomenal results out of these ads. What are the tips you have to basically put in place for your ads in order to get the big results like we're getting at our agency? Specifically, it will work for you. Or instead, if sponsored content or feed ads are going to be the better option for you, because in some instances it still is. Many people should be doing spotlight ads instead, and that's why I made this video, for that matter. But before we get into the content, if you do not know who I am Corey Zyman, owner of Guaranteed PPC, an online advertising agency that specializes in guaranteeing results for their clients. That is, we do not charge our clients management fees until we can get them a certain minimum lift in the profitability, basically in excess of the management fees that we charge at our agency. We are the only agency out there which offers any kind of similar contingency guarantee, which should tell you something about the quality of the information I share in this video. So getting into the content here. Now, if you are in any basic B2B style business and even a lot of B2C, spotlight ads on LinkedIn are going to work great for you a majority of the time because they convert better. And yes, I do mean selling to consumers, because a lot of you guys, I just want to state right up front, LinkedIn's a B2B platform where you're a business selling to businesses. And that's not any more true as Facebook's a B2C only platform. You could sell to businesses on Facebook just as much as you could sell to end consumers on LinkedIn. To give you an example, we did very well selling individual investments to high net worth individuals on LinkedIn. And the investments weren't business investments per se. You could be doing a number of you could use spotlight ads, in other words, to your advantage, regardless of what you're selling. Now, where spotlight ads don't typically get more results than the sponsored content ads or feed ads, as what we found, is going to be in a situation where you can't summarize the value proposition of what you're selling very well in a short, concise amount of text. So, sometimes you have to visually demonstrate to have a good hook and get people's attention and have your ads produce well, given that you have to have a good amount of attention on your ad to get a good response and get a good ROI on your ad spend per the cost of the impressions being high on LinkedIn. And so in that situation, you may have to run these sponsored content ads. But most things that you guys sell, you could find a value proposition that could be explained very simply and put that into a spotlight ad and do much better than trying to keep making your sponsored content ads work, which, of course, the ad space for sponsored content ads in the feed there, that cost per milli or cost per 1,000 times your ad shows is going to be much higher there than it is going to be on the right, what they call the LinkedIn right rail there. So that's why it's so profitable. Okay, now as far as that goes, if you are going to try to get spotlight ads to work, here's what you basically want to do and what you need to know about it in order to get it to work. Which, for that matter, if you're still struggling with this, by the way, after you watch this video and you give it a shot, reach out to me at my agency at guaranteedppc.com. I could tell you in a quick conversation what you did wrong and or how we would need to set it up correctly. And if you want to work with us, we'll guarantee your results. We'll make sure you get so much sales or so many leads off of your ad spend before we take any fee on our end. We also have ad templates available. So if we've already worked in your niche space already, we could sell you the winning ads, landing pages, campaign templates that work for your niche market already. And you just copy paste them into your account. As long as you are in a different city, state, or country than our client, it's all fair game to use it. So for that matter, here's what a standard spotlight ad looks like on LinkedIn, okay? It's on the right rail, because if normally you have, let's say this is LinkedIn right here. You have your regular feed, and then you have your right rail. On your right rail, there's a couple different ad types that typically show up there, one of which is a spotlight ad. The spotlight ad is, I'm sure you've all seen it if you've ever been on LinkedIn. You have your square on the right rail there, and then you have a picture of you that pops up. And then there's a square logo next to it of the company that's advertising. And then there's a description, and there's going to be a headline underneath your headshot and the logo. Then there's going to be a button at the very bottom. All right? Now, here is the big time formula that works on spotlight ads to crush the results you're going to get with any sponsored content ads. And that is this. So you're going to have your headline that states the big benefit of whatever your offering is. So if you are offering an investment, going back to that, you state the returns you could get. Now, of course, people don't like to guarantee returns because the government bodies don't like you to necessarily do that, but you could say, want a 3 to 15% yearly return on your savings, question mark. That could be your headline. Even if you were selling a weight loss product, not to say you could make that work on LinkedIn, you could. It would be the best place to advertise because the CPMs are pretty high there. M's are high because quality of the traffic is also good and it usually converts better. But you could say lose 15 pounds in the next 30 days or something like that. Targeting people who, if you had a high-end weight loss facility that caters to richer people, you could do that. In this particular case, I have a case study here that I'm going to go through here, but you have to summarize what the value proposition is. In the case study that I'm going to share in a minute, we actually had compliance training software that allows your employees and train your employees on what not to do things that are going to get your company sued. And we would have a value proposition in that headline like, eliminate all sexual harassment lawsuits. And then that would be our value proposition to the customer, which a lot of people just don't understand that I see trying to make these ads work. They'll say, we have the best compliance training software, Nobody gives a crap. It's not going to get people's attention at a high enough rate to be profitable, assuming you cared that the ads are profitable, because a lot of the people who run ads that you see, like from your competitors and stuff, they aren't actually making money from the ads because they don't track the results or they just don't care. Less than half of companies even know their ads are making money or not making money. I know because I work with different companies all the time and I see, I ask people how much their ad makes and normally people don't even know. They just run the ads anyway, which is ridiculous. So therefore they're not pushed to do something that's actually effective. Therefore you can't copy what other people are copying. Our firm has to guarantee results before we're getting paid by our clients. So what I'm telling you here, you can bank on it at least. Now, with that said, you put your big benefit in the main headline here. Your description that goes up top, it's going to support the headline. It's going to explain specifically how it works. Why am I going to get this benefit? And why is it possible to get this benefit if it's a really lavish benefit that you've never heard of, or maybe it's too good to believe. You're going to say why it's possible. If not, you're just going to say how it works. So in the case study that we had our latest campaign that we ran and spotlight ad that we ran for a client, the headline actually was eliminate all sexual harassment lawsuits. The description above was new training software does all the work. So the benefit being eliminate all sexual harassment lawsuits. The how it works is new training software does all the work. So it explains how I'm ultimately going to eliminate all sexual harassment lawsuits, which, by the way, in any market where you're selling risk reduction of some sort, like fire alarms, preventing packages from getting stolen from your business, stuff like that, it's extremely hard to get that to work because people don't think it's going to happen to them. Because there's so much stuff that could happen and they're getting hit with advertising all the time. Until it's happened to them, they don't think it's going to, it's hard to sell to somebody they've never seen it themselves, or a friend, close friend or something like that, it's happened to them. Individual instance, your best bet is to try to tell them how it's going to be cheap and easy for it to do it, because already they don't think it's going to be possible, even though they might somewhat think that this is a risk. They've heard about it in the news before, maybe something like that. But anyway, that was the headline and description. And those are the two factors that are going to get your ad to work or not work, by the way, for our harassment training tools that or compliance training tools that we sold at this particular company, okay? Now, what was our results on that? So before I get into the cost per lead, closing rates, and the stuff like this, so you kind of understand how valuable this was to the company and therefore how valuable it could be to you running the same spotlight ad formula. For that matter, if you haven't subscribed to this channel and you want to make money like this on your own ad campaigns, you can, of course, have a pro manage your ads. And this is what we do for clients at our agency. You can reach out to me at guaranteeppc.com. We'll guarantee your results, if you will, like I mentioned before. Or if you just want to do it yourself, you learn from the best. We guarantee clients results. I personally spend 40 hours a week doing ad strategy at for our clients at our advertising agency, and I've been doing it over a decade now. Everything I find out what works, I share on this channel for free. It's unique in that most of the other YouTube channels you find aren't going to actually tell you how to make money from their personal experience, which makes the information basically invalid. So if you're serious about making money with ads, you want to subscribe to the channel already and learn from myself, who's actually giving you real world information. Furthermore, you should check out my blog while you're at it. I have a fantastic blog on my site at guaranteedppc.com/blog. The blog has step-by-step information on how to actually make money with ads, the way that I'm doing at our firm for clients, and the way that you could do it for yourself, with screenshots, with visuals that you're not necessarily going to always get on this channel. So you should check that out as well if you're serious about making money. If you have any questions about anything I'm covering here, by the way, leave me a comment below. I'll get back to every single person who leaves me a question or comment on this channel, usually within 24 hours time. So for that matter, what was our cost per lead, do you think, on this campaign where we're doing the compliance software training? And we ran actually several ads for, depending on what kind of lawsuits that people would potentially be worried by, we have a different ad. So we had different ads for each type of issue, lawsuit, harassment, sexual harassment, so on and so forth. And we rotated through them, hoping one would resonate with our audience that we were tapping into, that we knew was profitable itself, which was HR departments. Also, though, not just that, but C-level executives, because they also don't want their companies to fall into a crap pile. If they're a bigger company, they don't want to have their stock price be affected even. So anyway, with that said, we were getting right around $37 a lead off of this particular campaign, which is excellent considering the traffic on LinkedIn typically from this running on the feed is very expensive itself. And generally it's going to be much higher than a $37 cost per lead for something like this, where you're at least going directly at the user with the offer and not offering information and having to build and do a funnel of some sort. Now, these training tools, it had a free trial and then you had to pay with the model that this particular client was using. We had 31% opt-in for the trial. We had 24% being paid users, which is a decent free to up paid, which, I can't take credit for that, but their tools were good. And they did what a lot of companies don't want to do with their software companies, and they pay somebody to help educate the consumer and boost them along to buy the software, which you can do if your lifetime value of a customer is over $1,000 and you're selling software to bigger companies that are going to be using it for a while. If your lifetime value of a customer is $100, you can't hire somebody to work with them in addition to the free trial. But anytime you can, you should, because there's a lot of people that just start free trials. It's work to actually learn the software, even no matter how intuitive it is. And you want people to get their questions answered and just give them a little bit of boost of morale to finish the learning curve on it, to get, and also being told, hey, what's your problem that you're trying to fix? Oh, this will do it. Well, nobody really does this, and they should, and they don't do it because they think it's too expensive or cumbersome or whatever. And really, your free to paid rate is going to at least double, if not triple, if you do that correctly, as I've seen. Anyway, with that said, what do you think our ROAS was on this particular campaign now? The ROAS on the campaign, a return on ad spend, was over 700%, which that's already pretty good for a SaaS type product like this, or a SaaS company itself. Some people might not think that's quite good enough, but for this company, it was already plenty good. We're making plenty of profit itself. And that is itself when we're talking about lifetime revenue divided by ad spend itself. Lifetime revenue, not, and that is, when you look at the years of what we expect to get from that customer or client over the lifespan divided by the ad spend it took to get that client. But generally speaking, and if you don't know anything about SaaS, this is already really good. People in SaaS, even if they're going to get 3-to-1, they're pretty happy with it. Not to mention a 7-to-1 or 700% ROAS, because obviously the overhead that you have in a SaaS company is less. Even though you still have programmers to pay, you got server costs, so on and so forth. You got to update the software. You got customer service. There's still tons of costs involved with it. Anyway, with that said, that gives you a good idea of what is possible with this, mainly with the cost per lead and seeing what the cost per lead can be. But you have to understand what your consumer wants to hear. What's that one magic phrase that you can say that fits in with a problem or desire that they have or want, that you could tap into by the language you're using. And this is just where copywriting skills come into play and understanding. For that matter, I see a lot of people using AI to do copywriting, writing text for ads. Only going to get you so far. You have to do your market research and find out what people want to hear. You got to read your competitors' reviews. You got to do that kind of research. You got to survey your sales staff and find out what your customers are saying in the sales process, and then work that into a headline that actually has what they call message market match. And what you're saying matches what the consumer is ultimately looking for and desires. And then your ad is going to get these kind of cost per lead. Otherwise, it's not. I mean, just knowing that this ad is out there that it works is not enough. You have to do that research, and you got to know the headline to write. And of course, if you don't know how to do this, you pay somebody who's skilled in figuring out what that is, and you got the result then just in a different way or through a different means. So anyway, with that said, that goes over the results. If you have any questions, like I said, let me know in the comment section. I'm going to wrap it up with that one. Thank you for watching. I'll see you on the next one.
Remember when I said lifetime value LTV was important during this video? Well, this video here tells you how to do it.